Before I get started with this story, let me give a shout out to GameJ5 on Instagram for sending me this story. So you're looking at this image right here, and what would have been the 2020 Olympics would is held in Tokyo this year, because it couldn't be held there last year because of COVID. So they're basically doing a do-over this year so they can stay on track with the every 4-year thing. And look at what it says. Black Lives Matter or apparel banned. Now, y'all know I have a lot of issues with BLM. I have expressed my issues and my take about that organization for a while now. But I find it very interesting that, this is happening in Tokyo. We know Tokyo is in Asia. It's in Asia. So we all know what's going on with the whole Stop Asian Hate thing. But what I found to be interesting is that they are specifically saying if you wear any type of BLM apparel or anything that alludes to that, you will be banned. Like, they're actually punishing you if you wear it. Like, they may disqualify you, you can't come back or anything like that. But it's very interesting that they are very particular when it comes to black people, and this is happening in an Asian nation. Just found that to be very interesting. But they want to say Stop Asian Hate, but they specifically are saying if you wear anything that alludes to BLM, then it's an issue. And if I read this article and I don't see anything about them talking about any type of other organization that could, say protest or anything like that, then this means they were specifically targeted. But I'm going to go ahead and read the article and see if they prove me wrong. The International Olympic Committee, or IOC, has issued a strict warning against wearing Black Lives Matter apparel or indulging in any kind of social protest at the Tokyo Games to the athletes. Black Lives Matter was a slogan that gained steam last year across the globe, the world, following the death of a black man, George Floyd, through the hands of a white policeman in the United States of America. It has since spread like wildfire around the world, with people from all corners coming together and raising their voice against racism. Any athlete wearing any such apparel showing support to BLM might have to face strict consequences at the Olympics. Besides, the IOC has also warned athletes against conducting any social protest like taking a knee or lifting their fist. The IOC's Rule 50 forbids any kind of demonstration or political, religious, or racial propaganda in venues in any other Olympic area. Though the IOC has not specified as to what punishments will be handed out to the athletes violating these rules, it is said that a majority of the athletes are in favor of this rule. In a survey conducted by the IOC, which included 3,500 athletes, 70% of the athletes opined that they find it inappropriate to have social demonstrations during a competition, while a whopping 67% agreed that it is not appropriate to do so and while standing at a podium either. So I don't see anything in there pretty much about any other demonstration or anything like that, but they specifically targeted BLM. Like I said, I have my issues with BLM, and y'all already know this. But they specifically targeted them. And look at what they used as a catalyst. They used George Floyd when BLM has been around way before George Floyd. But they used George Floyd because George Floyd was a whole grand scale beyond the scope of many. See, when it was happening to many other people, it didn't get that full-fledged push out there like George Floyd did. But this one did. Like they said, it hit all corners of the earth. Like you could not have not seen it. You could have not heard about it unless you were not born or you were deaf and blind. That's about it. And it wasn't that, as far as the second scenario, it wasn't that much going on. But it's very interesting that they wanted to specifically target them. Now, if they was to say, you know, like various other groups or organizations like that, then I would be like, okay, now at least they're being fair and balanced about it, but they specifically targeted them. And like the article stated, they never specified what the punishments would be. They just said, this is what's going to happen. And that's it. They just didn't say what it was going to be. And notice they said at the podium as well. That reminds me of this picture. Now, everybody is familiar with this one. This one right here, this one really made a statement back in the 60s when this particular thing happened. And we all know what happened after it too. Like, believe it or not, all three guys, including the white guy, got affected by this. Because he refused to step down from the podium after they, you know, when they raised their fists. These two athletes, they literally lost everything. One of them, I believe, it affected his marriage or something like that. I forgot which one it was. And, you know, they lost everything. Like, they got stripped of their medals and all of that. Just for doing that, something that would be considered harmless. So when I think of what they're saying right here for the Tokyo Olympics, saying if you wear any type of BLM apparel or something like that, or a demonstration during these games, and it'll be consequences, it rewinds back to me to this moment right here. And that was before BLM was even a thing. And we saw what happened with them. So if they'll do that to them, imagine what they'll do to these athletes of today if they even dare try it. But I'm curious, though. I'm curious if somebody will be ballsy enough to attempt it. I'm curious. Now, I'll give you another scenario. This one right here. Now, we know that the one in the back, that is Simone Biles. I forgot the one that's in the front. I forgot her name. Lori Hernandez, that's her name. But in the middle is Gabby Douglas. Now, what is Lori and Simone doing that Gabby wasn't doing? When they were doing, you know, playing the national anthem because their team won, Team USA won, Gabby was the only one that did not have her hand over her heart. And I remember when that happened, they literally went bananas over that. They were like, how dare you represent USA and win this medal? And then when they play your national anthem, you don't put your hand on your heart. It was mainly PC that was mad about it because, you know, they damn patriots. But I remember when that happened and they actually made a huge deal out of that, like too big of a deal out of it, to be quite honest. So much, in fact, that the girl ended up apologizing for not putting her hand over her heart. She just genuinely said that in the moment, she forgot to do it. She was so excited and she was genuine about it. She just said, I completely forgot to put my hand over my heart. It's not me disrespecting the nation or the flag or anything like that. But PC made this girl feel so bad about it that she came out and made an apology because they went at her. Mind you, at the time, Gabby was in her early 20s. Like, imagine grown adults, so-called, coming at a barely out of her teens, young woman who is competing in one of the most biggest competitions in her life and winning the gold with her team. And y'all got mad because she accidentally forgot to put her hand over her heart. Now, what I find interesting is this. Let me pause it again. Is this right here. Now, all four, because this guy has his back turned, but you can see his hand placement is by his side. You have these two white guys right here who both are in US won medals, and their hands, one is behind his back, one is by his side, by his front. But they came after Gabby Douglas. I don't even know who these three guys are. But they made sure to make her feel ridiculed behind it. And they try to tell you that there's no racism. And all of them compete are on the for America. different teams, but still part of the U.S. Amazing, isn't it? But I just thought that I would bring those scenarios up to go back to the original point. So I'm just curious, will someone actually do and put some kind of apparel on? And if they do, what would the punishment be? Because like I said, it's all historical. Like I literally went all the way back to the 60s for a reference. And now here we are coming forward with this particular situation right here. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it in the comments.